Hello. Anti-coaching. I consider myself an anti-coach. One of the ways is, this is going to be fairly long-winded, there was a lot of coaching is about marketing. Not just marketing, I guess marketing in all sense, how you dress, how you act, how you walk, whether you make eye contact with people, whether you appear to be friendly and nice or unapproachable. I generally anti-market pretty extensively, which is really not a good thing to do. I try not to be open. I don't want people coming up and having casual conversations with me, or now it still happens, and that's fine, and I'm totally fine with it. Hopefully I don't push people away too much. But I'm not particularly social, and I don't particularly want to be swarmed everywhere I go with groups of people chatting away at me. I want to keep things professional, relating to skating, relating to your skaters, relating to your kids, relating to the functionality of clubs and section in the area. So specifically, and I'm going to deal with really specific things here, there was this was about the third, fourth, and fifth year coaching. That's when most of my revelations came in coaching. I mean, I have ongoing revelations about things, but there was a whole lot of things that shifted in my third, fourth, and fifth years of coaching. And one of them was, there were a couple coaches that I know who were extremely harsh, who I would hear on the ice berating their kids, saying mean things to their kids, literally mean things, like, you're an embarrassment, you should quit skating, you're useless. And these coaches would be viewed as wonderful and friendly and nice by the parents. Even though most of the kids knew better, and I know some kids that have written their coaches letters in the aftermath to let them know how mean and nasty and bullying they were to them, but the parents think these coaches are wonderful. And then there's other coaches I know who are wonderful, who are nice, who have this reputation, including myself, who have a reputation of being mean and nasty and harsh, overly strict, overly demanding, whatever. And I never say anything mean to my kids, unless they completely miss sarcasm now and then. I never say anything mean or inappropriate to my kids, not to the extent that I've heard other coaches say it. And yet I have a much worse, the impression people get is much worse for me than it is for some coaches that I know have harsher language with their skaters. And for a couple of years this really confused me. And I kept an eye on some of these coaches that I knew I would definitely call mean occasionally, and I watched what they did to somehow avoid that. And I found out, first of all, I think they just do a better job of talking to the parents. If they come across as nice and friendly and open and maternal and caring and gracious to the parents, they can kind of get away with murder with the kids, treating the kids badly, pushing the kids, being strict and demanding and bullies, because they know their employment is with the parents and locked up with the parents. As long as the parents believe in them, they're going to force their kids to take lessons from them. And I've certainly seen that happen over the years. But the real revelation came, and this happened a few times, the real revelation happened when I watched a coach who I knew occasionally gave her kids nasty, nasty lectures. I was in a club with her, and this was over 10 years ago, so, and this person hasn't been in Nova Scotia for many years, so hopefully this isn't violating anything. And I missed the opening to it. I think the kid just did her solo and missed a few jumps or something, and she was a competitive kid. So the coach took her to the other side of the rink, away from where the parents were sitting, placed her against the glass, back against the glass, and she faced the glass. So her back was to the parents. The parents couldn't see her mouth moving, couldn't see her talking. I was about 15 feet away from her, so I could hear it. And she started talking in a very, very low voice, and saying, basically, you're an embarrassment to skating. How dare you do a solo like that? How dare you skate like that? Da 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 da. You know, all these pretty horrible things. And maybe it was justified. I don't know the context, but I would never say anything like that to one of my skaters. I never have, and never will. So it really shocked me, and this person was considered one of the nicest, friendliest coaches around by most of the parents. I don't think I ever heard it from one of her students, but I heard it from a lot of executive members, a lot of parents, and a lot of section people who thought this person was wonderful. And I actually think this coach was really nice too. But this was an example of how do you talk to your kids like this? How do you push them up against the wall, berate them for 5 minutes, tell them how horrible they are as a skater, and then have everybody leave the rink feeling wonderful? And it was shortly after this that I realized I had a couple lessons. I think one of my best lessons, I was shouting no at the kid over and over and over again. And I know one of the coaches I work with tries to never use that word. Everything is yes. Yes, that was wonderful. Next time, try to push harder. Yes, that was wonderful. Next time, try to, she tries to coach everything in an overwhelmingly positive manner, which makes me sick, basically. That's another video, though. But I realized shortly after this that a lot of the coaches that have really good reputations among the clubs and parents and executive are coaches who make an effort to be very, very loud when they're being positive, when they're being encouraging. They will scream out, yes, amazing, yay, you landed a new jump, all that stuff at the top of their lungs, and make sure everybody around them hears their positivity, make sure everybody in the stands hears their positivity, make sure all their students do, all the other coaches' students do, and all the parents do, and everyone in the rink knows that that coach has done something amazing. It's essentially marketing. I've just done something amazing, everyone should know about it. You don't need to know what it is, just know that I've accomplished something amazing. The coaches that I'm talking about, who are at least equally harsh and mean and bitter to their kids, do so very, very quietly. And they do so in a corner where where they hope nobody will overhear them except the one person they're talking to. They'll take their kid aside, they'll take their kid into a dressing room by themselves, for a dressing down, they'll do all that stuff. So anything that smacks of negativity, and it gets to the point with a lot of coaches where it's even correction, they won't do out loud. They'll wait till the kid comes back to them and then correct them. No, that wasn't very good. You need to make sure you do this and this and this. You didn't do anything I asked you to do. And everything that's corrective, everything that's constructive criticism, everything that's critical, everything that can be viewed as negative is kept very, very small, very, very quiet, very, very private. But all the positive things are made public, open and public and loud. And I realized that after a while. I watched my coaching for a while after that, and I realized I do the exact opposite. Exact opposite. And I'm the only coach I've ever met that does this. When my kids go out and do something and they do something wrong, I immediately say, no, that's wrong. Do it again. You didn't jump. You didn't do this. You didn't do it. And all my corrections are public. All my corrections, all my criticisms, all my negativity, if you want to call that negativity, it's not. Negativity is you can't do that correctly. You are not capable of doing that right. It's not, you did that wrong, do it again and do it right. I consider that positive. You're actually telling the person they're totally capable of doing it amazingly, go do it amazingly. Don't do it like that. Don't settle for less from yourself. But anyway, that's not the way it's usually interpreted by the public. And then when somebody does something really, really good, I'm trying to change this up a little bit, but they come back to me, and I'm usually dead quiet. I'm totally quiet. And the first thing I'll say is, and I do this sometimes with corrections too, but I'll say, how do you think that was? And ideally, I want them to know how well they did it. And occasionally they do. I got a few kids that are self-aware enough that they know when they've done something good or bad. But I have some kids that are completely off, just have no clue. And some of them just try to guess to please me. It's like they're trying to play a game show where they're randomly choosing an answer that they think will make me happy, which is not what I want either. I want them to actually know what they're doing. But whether they know or not, they come back to me and I'll very quietly say, that was really good. You did a really good job there. And I do the same thing when they come off the ice for tests and competitions. I don't know if most of you have probably seen me partner dances on test day. After somebody's partnered a dance, I'll usually mumble something under my breath that only the person I've just danced with can hear. And it's always a synopsis of how they just did. Just to give them some concept, either to solidify in their own mind what they were thinking, and a lot of it's, that was really good, that was way better than warm-up, or that's probably the best round we've ever done. And occasionally you get the other side. I mean, I'm going to be honest about it. I'm completely honest about it. But most people are prepared and do well on test day. But I get the occasional person that I'm like, wow, that was not as good as warm-up. Or, oh, you forgot to fix the swing roll like we asked. You did some toe pushing there. You know, I'll do little corrections too, depending on how much of a relationship I have with a kid. But I don't think parents know when I'm mumbling at them. A lot of times it's very positive stuff. That was amazing. You just did amazing. And even reading my lips, nobody would know what I'm saying. And the same thing happens when they come off in competitions. First of all, I want them to tell me, in their own words, how they think they did, without any indication from me. I want them to know whether they skated well or didn't skate well, and I want them to be able to tell me that, and I want them to be able to express that to me. And then I'll confirm it afterwards. But, you know, I have some kids, as I said, that have no self-awareness whatsoever and just don't know how they did. They come off the ice and I've grilled them previously and they just don't know. So I have to tell them right away. They come off, I said, no, that was really good. Or they come off and they look vaguely on the verge of tears from being upset when they skated okay. And I try to circumvent that by saying, no, that was fine. That was good. That was normal. That's, what are you upset about? What are you concerned about? So it's a very odd thing that I do. I would say it's very, very it's definitely anti-marketing, and I would say it's anti-coaching. Most coaches I know are interested in everybody knowing how great a job they did and how wonderful they did, so they make all that loud and public, and I make it very quiet and private. I want my compliments, I want my strong positive comments to be between me and the skater. I don't want other people involved. And when it comes to criticism, when it comes to correction, you know, it's like when a dog pees on the carpet. You can't wait 10 minutes and then scold them for it. You have to scold them right away. So when I have a skater that I've just said jump higher and they go and they don't jump higher, I'm going to say immediately, right as they've landed the jump, you didn't do what I asked, go do it again. I don't let them come back to me and think about it and da-da-da-da-da-da, usually. You know, any corrections I made are going to be immediate, especially if they're doing a dance or something and they're doing multiple patterns. I might as well correct it and have them keep going around and try to fix it the next pattern. Or if they're doing skills and they're falling behind the pattern because they're not pushing hard enough, I yell at them to push. And most coaches just aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to be open and verbal about their corrections because it ends up coming across as being bossy or demanding or too critical or harsh to the general public listening. And a lot of skaters who witness my coaching for a while, months, years, and then take from me as a coach, are kind of pleasantly surprised that I'm not nearly as harsh and demanding as I appear when you're listening to me, because you're only hearing the negativity, you're only hearing the negative, and there's there's a ton of positive when I do lessons. Now kids, again, I have a feeling that some kids and a lot of parents, even if they hear the positive and the negative, because the negative is at a higher volume and more immediate, that they maybe only remember that they don't remember the quieter, more positive commentary. But what can I do about that? Not much. I think that's it. So there's my one of my prime examples of me being an anti-coach.